The reason I breathe.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Children Matter. You're here with Katie-Jayne and we're joined by Susan today. How are you, Susan?
Bit nervous.
Oh,
Hello,
honestly,
everybody.
nothing to be nervous about. I mean, this is the first time we managed to speak, and I'm hoping that obviously you want to share your story with everyone today, won't it?
Yes, please. I'd like to say hello, everyone. Everyone in the chat room. Obviously, I can't see your chats. I don't know how to on this. I like to say hello to the gentleman. I won't mention his name. Watching from America. I know he knows who I'm talking about. If he's managed to tune in. Hello. Well, where do I start?
But what brought you here today?
Well, I want to tell my story about my childhood abuse, and how hard it was for me growing up, and I'm hearing, 'cause I watch Sean Atwood. I don't know, am I allowed to mention Sean?
Yeah, if you like to.
I'm not sure. I watch Sean Atwood. Sometimes I watch a bit of John Wedger, and I've heard these stories of horrific, and I mean horrific stories of SRA, and I wanted to come out and tell my story and my process of healing, because this has affected me all my life. I've suffered from anxiety, depression, and at the beginning of 2020, I was diagnosed with personality disorder. The mental health social worker described it as brain trauma. I've never heard it described like that before, but that's how she described it, brain trauma. I remember as far back, I remember being told by my adopted parents that I was a vegetable. Yeah, a vegetable when I first came to them. I remember them telling me that a police officer almost sat on me because I was that small. And they also informed me that my natural mother, she was going through some troubles of her own, and she actually, what I was told, she went to the doctors and literally threatened to commit suicide if me and my sister, because I've got an older sister, a couple of years older than me, threatened to commit suicide if they didn't take us into care. So I was taken from my natural mother at 3 months, as far as I can remember from what I've been told. And I was legally and formally adopted at Old Hill Police Station in the West Midlands, 2 years old, because I found my papers. I went rummaging in my mum and dad, my adoptive parents' bedrooms, and I found paperwork. And that's how I found out who my natural parents were. And that's how I found out where and when I was adopted. I can't remember much of early childhood, but I remember, yes, I did things I shouldn't have done, like every child does. I took the odd pound or two from my mother's purse, and that type of thing. And I was blackmailed and by someone I thought that was my friend, and forced me to steal her jewelry. I remember 7 years old. because I used to get spanked a lot. I went down to the living room one morning. There was a 7-foot fishing rod leaning up against the wall, brown and green. Yeah, I even remember the colours. I knew that was for me because my adoptive father said a few days before, I'm not going to hurt my hands on you anymore, Susan. So I knew that fishing rod was for me. And the next time I stepped out of line, I got it. And it hurt. And
When
I
you say
had,
when you say got it, just explain to people what you mean by got it.
they hit me with the fishing rod. They hit me with the fishing rod. A 7-foot fishing rod, and it hurt like hell. And my schooling, from day one, I was bullied. I had it from 3 angles. I was bullied at school. I was bullied the street where I lived and at home. As I said, I was blackmailed by someone I thought was my friend. And they forced me and threatened me to steal my adopted mother's jewellery, which I stupidly did. Obviously, they found out and I got a beating for it. I tried to explain that I was getting blackmailed. They didn't want to know. They didn't want to know that I was being blackmailed. All they cared about was, Susan, we send you to karate. Defend yourself. And that is all I got. I remember one time, because we lived opposite a massive field, a big field, and Pat Collins Fun Fair used to come there every year. And as they were building up the rides, I got ganged upon by 15 kids. 15. Threatening me, hitting me. I ran home crying. You know what I got? Next time you don't defend yourself, Susan, we'll hit you. What do we send you to karate for? They expected me to defend myself against 15 people. Oh, all you got to do, Susan, you only got to hit one and they'll all run. It don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So I physically abused from about 6, 7 years old. About 10, 11. My older adoptive brother, I'm not going to mention his name. He started blackmailing me with cider. Said, I'll give you a drop of cider if you do this, if you suck me. Obviously, at that time, I didn't know what the hell he was on about. So he got me to do that to him, to give him a blowjob. This went on, for a few years, on and off. Obviously, when my adopted parents weren't in the house. And then my younger adopted brother, he was still at high school at the time. He started doing it. I remember sitting in front of the TV. I ain't long come home from school. I was watching Scooby-Doo. That's how plainly I remember this. I was watching Scooby-Doo, and he took me up into the attic and started touching me, and doing things to me, and tried to penetrate me. I was too scared to do or say anything. And this went on for a few years as well. And it was horrible. I couldn't speak out. I ran away from home. I don't know how many times. I ran away to London, of all places. But the police kept bringing me back. They'd ask me, why are you running away from home? And I tried to explain, listen, I'm getting abused at home. I mean, even one copper turned round and said to me, well, you probably deserve it, Susan. And I sat there and I looked at the copper and I couldn't believe what he was saying. I really couldn't believe what he was saying. It was as if he was condoning their behaviour, what they were doing to me. And obviously I kept getting sent back home, and the abuse went on till I think I was about 14 or 15. Getting blackmailed by the older one with drinks of cider, and taken up to the attic with the other adoptive brother. I mean, I remember them saying to me, when they were talking about adopting, they asked their sons, what do you want? Would you want us to adopt a boy or a girl? And then they said a girl. I think I know why they wanted a girl, because the thing is, the physical abuse as well as the sexual obviously mounted up over and over time. I was bullied at school, bullied at home, at the street where I lived. I had nowhere to turn. I just didn't. I couldn't speak out or anything. I did try and report it one time, and all I got from the DCI was, well, because it was so long ago and there's no evidence, they'll probably get away with it. So basically, that DCI talked me out of bringing charges against them, even though I did try. And when I was 19, I fell pregnant, and I had a little girl. Social worker. I went to the social services foolishly thinking they were going to help me. But I went to speak to the social workers. I spoke to a lady, and would you believe it? They actually admitted that I had been beaten. That came out of the social worker's mouth. They actually admitted, after all them years, yes, Susan, you have been beaten. I went to them in confidence, and next thing I know, I've got 2 social workers knocking on my door, trying to take my baby away. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. My brain, my mind at the time wasn't right. I ran away again. But it was too late. By the time I got back, they'd already taken her into care. I tried everything to get her back. I fought. I went through the court. I went through. She was made a ward of court, basically. I did everything they asked me to do, everything they requested me to do. I even got a flat. They requested that I got a flat, which is what I did. And when I was in that flat, the social worker came to visit me. And she literally pushed me into the corner. She pushed me into the corner, made me feel this small, and said, "You're not going to amount to anything. You're not going to be, you'll never be a good mother. You'll never be this. You'll never be that." She literally put me down and made me so small. No, I thought they were there to help you, not patronize you, not put you down. But that exactly what she did. And I had to go to a contact center to see her. Later on, as years went on, I found out about common purpose and stories from people and common purpose, and I started to think, well, these social workers, even the lawyers you think you get to fight your case, you know, they're meant to be on your side. But I learned later in years, no, they're not. They're working together. They're literally working together to keep your child away from you. Yes, I'm not perfect. I am not perfect. I never said I was, and I never will say I am. I was accused of neglect with all my children. I was raped when I was 21, when I was living in London. Bastard got found not guilty, excuse my French. Yep, he was found not guilty, and even though he'd been known to do it before to other women. So I've had to deal with rape as well. Then I was forced to sign over my son, because when I had my son a couple of years later, and I was forced to sign him over because I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with any of my children. You know, maybe some of it was because of what I'd been through or what I'd experienced. But I was forced to sign him over, the same as my daughter, Freya. It destroyed me that much when I lost my son. I was living in a block of flats at the time, and I literally went up to the roof. And I contemplated throwing myself off. That is how much it killed me. I must have sat there for an hour looking down. contemplating ending it there and then. But I thank God I didn't have the guts. And something made me sit up and say, one day I'm going to be the mother I know I should be. And that's what stopped me ending it all that day. Excuse me a minute.
Sorry, you take your time. We know it's hard, so you
Yeah,
take your
I
time.
know, but this is all part of the healing. And that's what made me stop ending it all. Because I was that close to throwing myself over 20 stories up. I still I didn't have it very good. I moved about a little bit in London. And then I met my late partner. He unfortunately isn't with me now. I was with him for about 10, 11 years. He was my rock. I told him everything. I told him what happened to me as a child. And I was honest with him from the get-go. I told him what I'd done. I told him what I shouldn't have done. Told him what I'd been through. And he was there for me. 10, 11 years, which is the longest relationship I've ever had in my life. Until March 2013. My son, which is my son that's in care now, that's his father. He was about 9 years old. I think nine when he came up and got me. My son came up and got me. I was in my room. And he said, Daddy wants you. And I went down to him. And 1 second he's asking me for a glass of water. And he's threatening profusely. Then, as I'm getting him a glass of water, I hear his head clatter off the wall. He went down. And I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I just panicked. I started running around neighbours. This must have been about, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. I panicked. I started banging on doors. I said, can you help me? You know what I mean? Thankfully, the guy over the road, my neighbour, he came running over because I didn't have the strength to, I don't know why, but I just didn't have the strength to do the compressions. You know, the pump on the chest thing. I didn't have the strength. I was a mess. I was in shock. It took a second. A second there, a second gone. Then a year or so after that, I started to break down with my problems, like with my mental health problems. And my son's, who's got Asperger's and ADHD, I couldn't cope. And had a breakdown. I had a mental breakdown, and I did something that I shouldn't have done.
Give yourself a minute to breathe. Don't worry. Just give yourself a minute.
Oh, brother.
You're doing really well. Don't worry. You're
I
doing
hope I'm not
perfectly.
boring anyone.
You're not in the slightest. Everyone's showing you nothing but love and support. Okay? You just take a breath. Stay strong.
I
You're
did
getting there.
something that I shouldn't have done.
Have you made sure that this is a place
Yeah.
you're willing to share that?
I'm never gonna heal. I'm never gonna learn to forgive myself, which is I'm having trouble doing every damn day. Forgiving myself for what I did to my son, who's in care now. I shouldn't have done what I did, but I did. And you know what? I may have had a breakdown, but I will never, ever use that as an excuse. Because it's not an excuse. I'll never use it as an excuse for what I did.
Okay, Susan, you know that me and the rest of the chat don't know what that is, right? So it's up to you if you wanted to talk to us about that. It's your choice. Just make sure you're at peace with what information you want to share. Where, how hard, circumstances, because there's more to that than a lot of people may think.
We
When
was
I say
having
more
some
to, I mean
problems with his problems, my problems, and obviously he was having his moment and playing up, and this is just before he getting ready for school, and he was playing up and not doing what I was trying to ask him to do to get ready for school. And I slapped him.
how old was he at the time?
Well, it happened in 2016. I'm not good at math.
2015 or
2016. He's
2016?
been in care for about 4 or 5 years now. April 2016.
Right, how old is he now? He's 16, so he
Yeah.
would be about 14.
No,
Right,
yeah, around about that, I think. Oh, maybe younger.
so it'd be about 13, 14 from the
Yeah.
dates you're giving me at the minute. Where did you smack him? Because obviously there's a lot to it. Because you may be punishing yourself massively for something that actually a lot of people would tell you that's just standard discipline.
I hit him in the mouth.
Right. Okay. How hard? Or was it just to shock him into listening?
But I feel so ashamed.
Oh, don't look.
I cut him. I've been living with this since then. Finding it so hard
It's okay.
to forgive
Look,
myself
you
for what I did. I know he's forgiven me because he's told me that. His social worker's told me that. But within me, within myself, I'm finding it so hard to forgive myself for what I did.
Do you feel like being brutally honest with yourself and everyone that's
Yes,
on the path to helping you
yes,
forgive yourself?
because I'm fine.
I think the main thing for you should be the fact that your son's forgiven you. I think that should be the thing that you hold on to more than anything. Doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks about something that happened to you in the past, as long as your son. If your son's all right with it, then it doesn't matter what anyone else
Yeah,
thinks.
I was going
So
so much trouble with myself. I'm still paying for it every day, and it hurts inside that with all this going on, with the world, I can't protect him. I don't want him having this vaccine because I know what's in it. I'm not going to take it, and I don't care who's out there hearing me say this, but I will refuse to take it, and I do not want him taking it because it's poison, and I just don't know how to. Even he said so himself. This is his own words. They're gonna force me to take it anyway. He said, I've got no choice, Mum. You know, and have you got any idea how much that is affecting me? I can't. If he was here with me, no way would he be taking anything. And oh,
do you think if the help was there, like none of this would have happened to begin with?
can you say that again, please?
Do you think if social had the help there to begin with, none of this would have happened?
Well, social services was there from the get-go.
No, I mean if they actually helped him get involved, because I know what social are like. They'll stand by and watch.
Well, I was before then, I was crying out for help. He had this book, a book that the teacher's writing. So I know what's going on at school when he was here. This sort of like a book type thing. They'd write in what he was like that day and everything. I was crying out for help beforehand because I could sense, I could feel what was going on. But it didn't come until it happened. I had police knocking on the door that day when he was taken to school. I had police, my landlord, amazing guy, my landlord. He's more than a landlord. Me and my late partner, literally, because we thought that much of him, made him godfather. He is godfather to our son. He literally, because I was curled up in the bathroom. I was having a mental breakdown. I was curled up in the bathroom when they found me. I wouldn't open the door. I wouldn't do anything. My landlord literally had to climb through the bedroom window to come looking for me because I wouldn't answer the door. I had the police, I had him, I had my son's taxi driver, everything. And then later that afternoon, his social worker came. She was lovely, but obviously they came round, and obviously I admitted what I did. I was cautioned. I was cautioned for what I did. So I've got another blemish on my record. And it was clean up until, I hadn't been in trouble for about 20 years till then. And part of me still blames myself. Why? I don't know, for all that's happened to me in my life, the abuse, everything. Because I had it drummed into me when I was a child. It's your fault. It's your fault. You brought it on yourself. So I had that drummed into my head, you know, from a child. It's my fault, my fault. And when you've got that drummed into your head from a child, it's your fault. You brought it upon yourself. It's very hard to let go of. It really, really is. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Get me wrong. I love my kids right from the bottom of my heart. I love them dearly, and I just wish I could have been a better mother.
You're still there for him,
Yeah,
though,
I'm
aren't you? You
still
still have
there
contact with
for
him,
him,
so
but
you
I
are
have
still
to
his
be
mum. You've
careful
not.
what I say because they spy on us. Every conversation.
I know the point I'm getting at is you
Yeah,
still have the chance to be a mum. You are still a mum. You just problem is a lot of the time as parents we have to adapt how we parent to be able to actually parent them. And, there's always room to move forward. There's no point in looking back. You need to look forward, and your son wants you in his
yeah, he
life.
does.
So you need to
Well,
work
he's
towards that.
going a bit doolally at the moment, the poor guy. I mean, he
But that's what teenagers do anyway. You're his mum, so you just need to be there for him to help him through this time. It's typical when hormones start going around all over the show. Everyone runs ragged while they're teenagers. As long as he's got you as to be there to mother him and to help him and
uh,
advise him.
I mean,
And
he went
I don't.
off the rails over the
Go
past
on,
few
sorry.
weeks. He's finding it hard because of this lockdown and not being able to get to school. He starts college next week. He's going to be studying IT. He's very technically minded, and but the last few weeks he has uh, gone off the rails a little bit, and I've heard his language for myself. The foster parents has actually had me online, and I've heard him. The poor guy is venting because of what's happening in the world now. With the lockdown and not being able to get out to school or anything like that. He's venting right now, and all I'm trying to be is try and be what you call a soundboard. Let him vent. You know, not trying not to have a go at him for his behaviour, but let him vent. Let him get it out of his system because he he feels he's controlled at the moment. He's actually said that himself. He feels like he's controlled. Obviously, his foster parents deny that, but he's actually said to me that he feels controlled, and his his usage on the net is so controlled. It's unbelievable. I mean, I can understand things like Facebook and other dubious sites and whatnot, you know what I mean? Because I'd be a bit funny if he was at home with me. What sites he would be going on, you know? But he does feel it. He's being controlled a little bit, and it hurts me because other than being a soundboard for him, letting him vent, as it were, that's all I can do. You know what I mean? It's not like I can pluck him out of where he is and bring him home. I know he wants to come home. You know, because I asked him the other day, I say, you know, what do you want to do when you're 18? Do you want to go into housing, you know, which they have got planned? They're trying to, I think what's happening and what I've got the gist of, that they're planning to put him into housing. You know, his social workers more or less said, you know what I mean? So I asked him what he wanted. You know, I said, do you want to go into this housing that they're planning for you? Or do you want to come back to me when you're 18? And he said, I want to come home back to you. I want to come home when I'm 18. And that is what he said. You know, so I suppose, yes, I'm grateful that he wants to come home when he's 18 because he's an adult. Then he can make it, you know, I mean, surely once he's an adult, they can't stop him, can they? You know, he's an adult. If he says he wants to come back home, surely they can't stop him. But I'm hoping not, you know, because I'd give up everything. I would literally give up everything to have him home, where I can protect him from what's going on in this world today, you know. But while he's there, all I can do is be a soundboard and let him vent, you know, and ask him, please don't use that language, because unfortunately the language he's using is not appropriate. It is very, very bad language and threatening. I think it's, I've spoken to some friends of mine, and they said it could be an overload. You know, because of his problems and everything else, it could be, you know, he's overloading. Maybe his brain is just getting overloaded now, you know? So I have to take all that into consideration. I have to watch what we talk about, you know. We have the odd little sign, you know what I mean? I won't say what those signs are because obviously they're going to be watching even closer, you know. But you know, he knows about this, that, and the other. You know, some people on the chat and who are watching this will know what I'm talking about. And because I warned him when we were having contact what's happening in this world and what is being planned in this world. Because I wanted him to have a heads up, you know. That's how much I love my son, because I want him to know what's being planned, you know. So I hope I haven't bored anyone, but
You've not bored anyone, don't worry. We're just here listening to you, don't worry. You have our attention.
thank you. Thank you. But yeah, my childhood from day one with the bullying, the abuse, and everything else, yeah, it screwed me up. I've been called childish at times. Yes, I am childish. So what? It's me. It's part of me letting off steam. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay. So what? I'm a big kid. But that's what happens when you have your childhood stolen. You know? You act like a big kid sometimes, you know? And I like to thank the people who are watching this for taking time out of their day, out of their Sunday, you know what I mean, to watch me. And the guy in the States, if he's watching, you know who I'm talking about. People from the chat room that I attend, you know what I mean, it's the Truthers chat room. And they know my story, not my full story, not till now, but they know now my full story and why I'm like this now. So I'd just like to say thank you to everyone, and thank you for listening to my story. God bless you. I wouldn't be here without him.
Well, before you go, Susan, Georgina's asked if you ever managed to connect with your birth mother.
Yes, I did, but unfortunately, it didn't go very well. I met up with my sister as well when I was 16. I remember adopted mother coming into the room. I think I was still in bed, just getting up or something. And she said, "Oh, I've just got a letter from the social services. Your sister wants to meet up." And that didn't go well either. Oh my goodness. We, she had the nerve to tell. She kept telling me, "Grow up, grow up, grow up," and yet she, my sister, she literally had a relationship with my older adopted brother, and then she cheated on him. Yeah, they had a baby that was taken. She was taken into care. She cheated on him.
But just be very cautious about going into other people's
Okay,
personal
fair
details,
enough. I
darling.
understand, but let me just say it didn't go very well, and neither did the meeting with my natural mother. I don't even know whether my natural mother is still alive, to be honest. I haven't spoken to her for, oh, blimey, 15 years or more. I haven't spoken to her. So you know, but
At least you're not left wondering who she is, though. I mean, there's always try and take at least a little bit of positive out of every situation if you can.
that's true. You know, that's true. And well, that's more or less my childhood, and I'm, you know, I'm still trying to come to terms with it at the moment. This will go a long way. I'd love to come up to your demos, but I don't know whether there's anyone out there who's willing to pick me up and take me up there to your demos. You know, because as I said to you, Katie, I want to come out. I want to come out and help you and be the voice for these children. Children that's been through a heck of a lot worse than me. That's why sometimes, half the time, I don't talk about what I've been through. Because I realise there's people out there been through horrendous more abuse than I have. And I'd like to come out and help you speak up, you know, for these children. That's what I want to do. I want to be a voice for these children, and that's gone through, you know, horrific abuse, you know, SRA and everything. I've heard some horrendous stories, horrendous. And I want to help, you know what I mean? And if anyone's willing to help me get up to the demos, so I can, you know, probably say something on the mic, or
I'm sure you keep an eye on the pages. Someone will let you know if they're able to. It's easier to hand over personal details and areas and sort things out over on the
right.
platforms.
Well, I might need some links to that. I'm not sure. As I said, it's my son that's technically minded, not me. You know.
No worries. Well, if you go on any of the YouTube links, they should be on there. Any of the YouTube videos, they should be in the description. I've not managed to put it on this
Yeah,
one
'cause
yet,
I
but
know
it will
you
be on
got
there in
one
a bit.
coming up on the 9th, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it. It's not our one. It's United Patriots Unite Great Britain, but we're going to be going down there as well and reporting on the case and
Right.
speaking and everything
You
as
know,
well.
so I'd love to be there, because there's one thing. While I still breathe, all this drag queen story time, all this paedophilia that's now coming out into the open, and everything else, I know in my heart it's a stepping stone. They are going to try. They already, even with this film Cuties, you know, they're trying to bring out on Netflix. That's trying to normalize paedophilia, you know. And I believe strongly in my heart they're going to try and legalize this, because they're trying to normalize it now. And they're trying to put it down as a sexual orientation. And as I live and breathe on God's earth, I will not allow paedophilia to be legalized. I'm sorry. And I'm sure there's people who are watching this would agree with me. There is no way in God's green earth can we allow this to, you know, to be legalized. Just imagine how many children, how many more children that's going to be harmed and have their lives ruined through it. You know, if they legalize this, this is just awful. You know, and I want to help create awareness for this. They are wanting to legalize paedophilia, and no way, no way, Jose. And I don't care if I become a target. I will speak out against this, and I will be the voice. If Katie wouldn't mind giving me some help and a platform, as it were, to be the voice of these children, you know, I don't care what happens to me. As long as I'm breathing, I want to help children who are going through this, because they deserve a voice, you know? They don't deserve to be shut in little cages waiting for the next time, you know, or taken to some wood and hunted like an animal, you know? Yeah, these are the stories I've heard with Sean Atwood and John Wedger. This, you know, this is why I'd love to. I'd love to set up something to stop the legalization of paedophilia, you know, and I just do not know how to go about it. I just don't. I haven't got the means to do it. I don't know what to do. I want to,
You need to stop the legalization of paedophilia.
sorry. Yeah,
Did you mean to stop the
because this is
legalization of
where it's
paedophilia?
going. I believe this is why they're trying to normalize it all now. They're going to try and legalize paedophilia and make it and add it onto the LBQ, what's it or other. You know, they're going to try and make it a sexual orientation. And it's not a sexual orientation. It is sick.
No, I know. It's just when you said it the first time, you forgot to say stop. So it sounded like you wanted to set
sorry.
something up to.
Well, I want to stop. STOP. I want to.
So that's why I thought I'd jump in and just make sure everyone was
Yeah.
aware that
Yes,
you
I
did mean
did. I'm
stop.
sorry. My head's all mashed at the moment. I want
okay,
to
go on.
set something up because I see where this is going. And I'm sure everybody out there listening to this can see where this is going. I want to set something up. Stop the legalization of pedophilia. It is not a sexual orientation. And they can't brand it as that. And I don't give a monkeys if there's people in the chat moaning about it.
No one is. Everyone's agreeing with you and showing
You
nothing but
know,
support.
help me, please. I feel it's on my duty on this earth. I'm almost bloody 50 years old, for crying out loud. You know,
Well, this live's the first step. So I think you can make yourself a brew, have yourself a cig, and enjoy the rest of the day because you've made an absolutely massive
I
step
need
today.
some help to set this up. Stop the legalization of paedophilia, please. Help me.
I'm not nodding away. I'm not even on camera. Sorry. I mean, there's loads of petitions going around. I can try and link you to a load of groups as well that are trying to do the exact same thing. It'd probably be better to add the numbers instead of set up another one.
You know, as I said, I don't care if I come a target. I know who's involved. I'm not going to mention anyone's name, but I just say VIPs, and that is as far as I'm willing to go. But I think the people in the chat, if I say VIPs, people up there, I think they know who I'm talking about. You know, it's people like that, you know, who are doing it, you know, and we can't allow this to happen. This is our children. This is our future. Their children's children and their children's children. If this is allowed to be legalized, our children's lives aren't going to be worth living. You know, it's bad enough as it is when they are made to go into school next month wearing a nappy and then be made to sit or stand 2 meters apart. That's child abuse right there, mate. Children need to socialize. Children need to be able to speak and play with their friends in the yard. You know, play their skipping games or whatever they do now at school. You know, not be put into a bubble, not to be made to wear a nappy. The mask is dangerous for a start. Just imagine what that's going to do to a little kid. You know? And how about if that little kid has breathing problems like asthma? It's going to destroy them. You know, this is what they're doing to our children as well, which I believe is another form of child abuse at the end of the day. Children have got to socialize. They have got to be able to play with their friends in the schoolyard. They've got to be allowed to be children. They're having their childhood stolen just for wearing a nappy and flipping 2 meters. There is no virus. I'm sorry, people, but there is no virus. Okay, there might be a bit of a flu, which will affect old people, and people with underlying illnesses. I get that. I get that. But I haven't heard of a child that's died from this COVID. Have you? You know? And most of the propaganda they're putting out on mainstream, well, hey, well, lies upon lies. We have got to stand up for our children now. They are trying to take the voice of our children away. You know? If you're a parent, which I trust majority of you are, I'm not saying don't send your child to school, but be careful. I wouldn't send my one to school if my kids were with me. If they were going to be made to wear a mask and made to stand 2 meters apart instead of talking to one another, and the teachers are probably in this, I don't know, is it a visor thing, a plastic guard, PPE?
Yeah.
What is that going to do to our children's minds? It's psychological torture in my mind, because it's going to mess with them psychologically. And this is what this new world order is about. And we can't allow it. You know, we must stand up and fight for these children, because these children don't have a voice. You know, I do not want any of our children getting abused in any way, shape, or form, whether it's sexual or what they're making our children do in school now with these masks and whatnot. You know, so please, people, think of your children before you send them back to school. You know.
On that note, Susan, I thank you for coming on and sharing your story. We've really appreciated it, and you've had our undivided
Thank
attention
you.
the whole time. No worries. Make yourself a brew, put your feet up, you know, and try and enjoy the rest of your day.
Well,
Try and get some
thank you
rest.
for your time, Katie. Thank you for everybody's time. Everybody that's tuned in. I don't know whether this is going around the world or not. You know, I can't see no chat, so you know, so I don't know what part of the world this has gone out to. But please,
We've got people from
you know,
all over watching. You'll be able to, when the stream's buffered after it's ended, you'll be able to go through and watch all the live chat as well.
Please, parents, mums and dads, think twice before sending your kids back to school. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope I haven't bored anyone.
Don't worry, you've not bored anyone.
Thank you,
Take care,
Katie.
Susan. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, guys.